everybody, Gina DeLuca here. All right, I am doing some more flower fun because why not? I have a whole bunch of colors here. I may use all of them, I may not, we'll see. So what we have going here for my background color, my base coat, I have Liquitex Basics Dioxazine Purple. But that has been mixed with, it was leftover colors, so there's some Phthalo Blue and Mars Black by Liquitex in there as well. And it's a very pretty, just a deep indigo kind of color. Kind of hard to see, but it's pretty groovy. Okay, so I also have, in the green families, I have Primary Elements by ColourArte in Fresh Pine. I have the ColourArte Bling It Interference Gold, Interference Green. I have some Interference Red, but I think I put the jar away. And I have this little piggy in Echeveria. I think I'm saying that correctly. And I have these small but mighty. These are the Stuck Up Pigs from fluidart.co. These will be released very, very soon. You can check out their website and see when that is happening. But I'm using all three in this painting. I have Boastful, which is kind of a green, I would say green dominant color. And Pretentious, which is, I would say, like a purple blue dominant. But it has a lot of colors in it. But these are just the ones that really kind of dominate. And this one is like a really deep, like black cherry almost. And that one is called Pompous. Let's see, does that cover everyone? I think that covers them all. These pigments have been mixed with mixed pouring medium. And just mixed pouring medium. I haven't added anything else to it, any other additives or alcohol or anything like that. I start with a bit of mix in the bottom of my cup. I add the pigment to that while wearing a mask. Always wear a mask when you're working with pigments. Do not skip that step. You can't get it out of your lungs once it's in there, and it can really irritate. So just wear a mask. We've been wearing them for like 3 years, right? We're used to this. So just put the mask on. Right, so adding the pigment to the little bit of mix in the bottom of the cup, mix that together, get that nice and stirred up, and then I add more pouring medium to it. Gradually adding the pouring medium to that. And so the pigments are basically the consistency of mixed pouring medium. And then for my base coat, I just thin it until it's the consistency of my pigments. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each one has an associated video here on YouTube that gives you all of the information that you need, the exact paint brands, consistency, the recipe, and of course, all of the techniques. This is the picture of the painting in that particular video. This box contains a tip for that particular technique, and this is the color palette that was used in that painting. And then these two boxes can be used together as the basis of a 2-color palette, or you can add to those colors. There are 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors. Mix and match the bonus color palette cards with the technique cards, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. Okay, moving over to the voiceover mode, because I have to do this at high speed or I will bore the stuffing out of you guys. So this is a double speed. I am laying down my base coat, making sure I have enough left in the cup to help with my pour should I need it. I have already painted the sides. I highly recommend doing this, especially if you're doing a custom blend of colors like this is. Trying to match that up later is a pain. These round canvases are puckered on the side, and so they need a little extra love. So I wind up using my finger to really make sure that there's, solid coverage on the sides. I cover the sides with a paintbrush and straight paint first, and then when I'm doing the base coat, I'm using my finger because I want to make sure that the sides are primed as well with, with the base coat so that the paint slides easily over the edges. That's what I want here. So this part is, theoretically, this is an, abstract flower, but this would be the greenery behind the flower. And I've, kind of been calling these ghost flowers. You could use any combination of paint colors and, this would still work. But the concept that I'm using as far as picking my color palettes is a lot of interference paints on top of a dark background. So from certain angles, it doesn't have as much contrast. But when the light hits it just right, it suddenly appears. So it's either like very bright and flashy, or it's very subtle. And I love that combination from, certain angles. It's like, kind of looks like a flower. And then when the light hits it just right, it's like, wowee. Especially with these, the stuck up pigs. I am so in love with these pigments. I cannot even tell you. They're so, so beautiful. I totally love color shifting paints. I always have, even when I was a little kid. Anything that was holographic or changed colors. I had a sticker collection. I had a massive sticker collection, and anything that would change colors, mood rings, stuff like that, I was always fascinated with. So here I am just blowing out what is going to be the leaves, the background part of it. I have noticed that I have a tendency to undershoot how much paint I will need for that initial coverage to get that background going. But also important to note that I don't want a lot of coverage. I want there to be the contrast between the original, like the base coat color, and those interference paints and the chameleons. So my edges are kind of drying up a little bit and it's not stretching the way I would like it. So I was just giving a bit more juice for when I do spin that again. And I'm feeling like it needs a bit more greenery on that one side. So I'm doing yet another round. I think a lot of times people feel like they didn't get it right that first shot, so, you know, got to start over. It's a fail. No, you could just turn it into something else. You know, if it morphs from what your original intention was, that's fine. And in this particular case, it's like, well, I need more. So give myself more. This is a pretty forgiving art form. You know, I mean, there are some times where it's just like, yep, okay, this is a scraper. And sometimes it's so bad, it can't even be scraped. It goes in the fire pit. Just the frame. I don't burn plastics. That's basically what acrylic paint is. So if you are burning acrylic paint, if you're throwing a whole canvas with paint on it in your fire pit, you are breathing fumes from burning plastic. So do keep that in mind. You don't want that really going into the atmosphere, but you certainly don't want that going into your lungs. So what I do when it's something unsalvageable, I just cut the canvas off. And sometimes you can reuse those frames. The canvas stretchers. If you know how to stretch canvas, you could put more canvas on there. And I've seen people build like picture frames out of them. Like they actually just take the inside of a canvas and turn it into a frame. It's pretty interesting. There's always ways to repurpose things, and that is the curse of an artist. I'm an artist, not a hoarder. I can use this thing. This will come in handy someday. I have a trash bag full of mannequin heads from hair school that I'm still keeping for some unknown reason. Like, someday I'm going to turn them into something. I had one that I used for Halloween decorations. She went really, really awry. For some reason, our teacher had us highlight and perm this particular mannequin. And I don't know if y'all know anything about hair, but you do not want to highlight and perm. Bleaching plus perm equals a very unhappy head. And I had, at one point, it was me, two students, and a teacher trying to brush this mannequin's hair out, and it was not going. We broke two brushes, and I just said, okay, she's becoming a Halloween decoration. That's all there is to it. So it looks like she stuck her finger in a socket, stick straight up. If I wind up digging that out, I'll show a picture to you guys. It's silly. Anywho, that was a side note. As I'm still continuing to put in that background, you see why I sped it up now. So now my background is complete, and this is going to be the flower. And though it does not look like much contrast, like this, once the pigments dry, once this all dries and that mix dries clear and those pigments do what they're going to do, there is a definite difference in color between the flower and the background. And a side note, you can use an airbrush to pop bubbles. Just if you were wondering, that's what I just did there. I saw some bubbles and I was popping them. I set my PSI to 35 when I'm doing this. I find that to be good for me. I still have control, but I have enough power. And for anyone wondering, I do have the link to the exact kit that I got in my Amazon shop. The link to my Amazon store is in the description box, but you can always just Google Gina DeLuca Amazon store and you'll find it. But I got the entire kit. It's an actual like airbrush kit. It came with different brushes and paints. It was the most bang for your buck kit that I found, and so I got it. I got it specifically for doing this, but I figured if I'm buying an airbrush and a compressor anyway, I might as well get some airbrush paints and eventually try to mess around with that. Someday. You just add that to my list of things I need to learn still. So sometimes when I'm doing these flowers, I have an idea of what I want my center to be, and then once I see it, I change my mind. Sometimes I go in with the intention of doing a rosette, and it just says to me, this is a hibiscus. So this winds up being a hibiscus. So I'm feeling like there's too much green showing through those petals. So I'm doing another coat for the petals. And I'm trying to stay within the same parameters that I had for the previous petals. Just going over top of them, giving them a bit more love. And I do show the dried piece when I'm finished showing you how to create it. I've finally managed to get a bit of ahead in my paintings, so I can show you some dried pieces. So now I'm just taking my skewer and I'm bringing the lines in, basically just some separation between the petals. You don't have to make them perfectly straight. You can kind of go along with the curves that are already there. I'm not bringing the line all the way into the center. I'm kind of stopping at a certain point. I'm just putting a little wiggle on the edges here. Just kind of tidying up my petal edge, giving it just a bit more definition. It's a subtle thing, but it does make a difference. I guess I was contemplating if I needed to bring those lines in a bit more, and clearly I thought, yes, I do. But again, not all the way. I like having that dark center there. You know, the way that you place your paints on the canvas before you blow makes a big difference. You know, so I put that background color in the very center of that puddle, so that will be the center of my flower. If I wanted the flower to have a brighter center, then that would be the last color that I put in the puddle. But I like it having that dark center, that contrast, where that purple is the only color in all of that that is not one of the pigments and going to be flashy when it dries. So it's giving not only the contrast between the light paints and the dark paints, but also between the sparkle and the not sparkle. Okay, so I'm kind of starting with just a dot in the center. I'm, finding my center. And then I'm just going to bring that out. I mixed two colors together there because I felt like that gold that I had was too strong. So I mixed it with the interference gold as well. So I'll just get that basic shape down and kind of just do a little stippling with the skewer point, and that brings up a little bit of that dark paint with it when I go to the bottom and pull it up, and that kind of just gives it a little bit of shadowing, a little bit of a 3D effect. And I think we're about done here. Okay, here it is. You can definitely tell the difference in the flower and the greenery better. But, so this is the dried piece. The flash on this is super cool. It's hard to get that. All of the angles give you such different effects. This is going to be gorgeous when it's varnished. I cannot wait to varnish these pieces. Cannot wait. But there it is. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Please do like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. If you are subscribed, please make sure that you click that bell. If you are not getting notifications of my uploads, make sure that you click that bell and select it all. And check out the description box below for links to my PayPal tip jar if you feel so inclined, my affiliate links, and the coupon codes. If you enter through those links, anything that you purchase off of those websites, I receive a small commission at no additional cost to you, so it really helps a sister out. You'll also find the link to my website, GinaDeLuca.net. You'd think I'd be able to say my name by now. Where you can find my art and music and the fluid art inspiration cards. And of course, the cards are also on Amazon. And last but certainly not least, you will find the link to our Facebook group. Go make some art. Join us there, post your masterpieces, ask your questions, get some inspiration. A good time is had by most. It is the internet after all. All right. That is it for me for today. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.